Hi, I'm Liz Heichelbeck, and I'm coming to you from my home studio today to introduce you to mandalas and the materials that you might want to gather or source to draw them yourself. It comes from an ancient tradition, and modern day interpretations of mandalas are just that they are mindful doodling, if you will. They're very relaxing. You can really get into a nice flow state, and you don't have to be able to draw or have any artistic ability to make a beautiful mandala and find it a very satisfying activity. Generally, the mandalas that I draw tend to be circular and symmetrical, and I tend to start in the middle and then work my way out. And usually just a ruler and a compass, maybe a few stencils, are all you need to draw a beautiful mandala. So let me show you some of the materials that you might want to get for yourself. So the first thing you'll want to think about is paper. And I generally use drawing paper, but if you don't have any drawing paper, you can just use a regular piece of copy paper. And a square is generally best. This is just an 8.5 by 11 regular old piece of paper, and it's now 8.5 by 8.5, so I just measured and chopped off a strip here at the end. Next, you'll need a ruler. If you have a clear ruler, it makes it a lot easier to see your lines and where they connect. But any ruler is fine, so you need a ruler and paper. If you have a compass, that will greatly help you. If you are planning to order a compass, I like this Stettler compass. I think it runs about $15. You can get this on Amazon or at michaels.com. And this is a really nice heavyweight that doesn't move around. If you have a less expensive one, just make sure that you try it out first, because many of the less expensive ones tend to move in and out this way, and therefore your circles are always a little bit off. So it's nice to have a good compass. If you don't have a compass, don't worry. I'll show you how you can draw a mandala without one anyway. All right, now, one really nice thing to have are some drafting stencils. You can order these on Amazon, and they come in different shapes and different sizes. They're very inexpensive, and the great thing about drafting stencils is that they have little lines for you to use so that you can line up your shapes and make sure they're exactly centered in your desired location. If you don't have drafting stencils and you don't want to buy some, that's okay. You don't have to use any drafting stencils. If you want to use some stencils, you can actually make some from around the house. This is a lid, just a plastic lid. It's got a nice center marking there for us. We can put that down on our paper with the center right in the middle of our paper and just draw around it. So you can use something like that instead of a compass or for a stencil. This is the top to a tomato package that I got, and you can see it's going to have a really nice kind of starburst pattern that I can use if I want to. And you can even use something as simple as a cardboard tube to draw around. You can cut this off and make it shorter if you want to. Another idea for making your own stencils, and again, you don't have to use any stencils to draw your mandala, but this is a paper snowflake that I folded. You just take a regular piece of paper and you fold it, and there's plenty of videos online that show you how to do this. And then you just make random cuts into it, and when you open it out, you sort of have a little tracing template. And if you were unsure about how to start your mandala, this is a nice kind of chance method for you to use. And as you can see, you can just lay this down, and you have to hold it down with your fingers, but you can trace around it, and you can make some interesting shapes this way without having to buy any stencils. This is a mandala that I didn't use very many stencils with. I used mostly a compass and a ruler with a little bit of freehanding in there. If you choose to do some freehanding on your mandala and you want to get away from the use of stencils, it can give your mandala a really interesting, almost cartoon look. For example, this is one that I made for Earth Day, and I just completely freehanded the little images in the center. It was the first time that I had done freehanding in a mandala, and it was really good for me because I had to let go of some of my perfectionism, but I was really happy with how it turned out. Of course, you'll need a pencil to draw with. Any pencil will do. And you'll need an eraser. You can just use the eraser that comes with the pencil. If you're using drawing paper, you might want to invest in an artist's eraser or a gum eraser because the lines tend to go a little bit deeper in that paper, but you can certainly make do with just a regular old eraser. Next, to go over your pencil lines, you are going to want to use some black felt tip pens. I really like these Micron pens, but any black pen will do. You could even use colored pencil for doing the final lines if you wish. And I always like to use colored pencils when I'm finished to color in my mandalas. And a really wonderful brand is Prismacolor. They do make a scholar grade, which is quite a bit less expensive. Any colored pencils will do. You can use a Crayola. A nice kind of in-between brand is Sargent. I like using those. You'll find with a more expensive colored pencil that they have a very lovely sort of creamy feel on the page. But any colored pencils are fine. If you like working with markers, you can certainly use markers instead. Or you can choose to leave your stencil black and white. Your mandala rather. This is a mandala that I drew with only stencils, and I only used a compass one time, and that was to draw the large outer circle. Now when I started drawing this mandala, I actually thought it was going to be symmetrical, and then I made a mistake, which you probably will do too, and the creative task here is to figure out how to make it look like you meant to do that. So I thought, well, this is an opportunity for me to do something that's a little bit asymmetrical, and it was really fun to do that. This is one that I drew while I was in Mexico, and this would be an example of one that you could do pretty easily without a compass. As you can see, there's only 3 circles in this one. There's a circle here, this green circle, and then there's an inner circle and an outer circle around the edge. And the rest is all done either freehand or with a ruler or with the use of stencils. So you don't have to have a compass to draw your mandala. Thank you for watching, and I hope you feel inspired to join me for a drawing adventure.